What conscious parenting means and what conscious conception means are as unique as humanity, that each of us has our own way of being, our own way of living, and the task before us is to find what works for us in a conscious way. That to bring consciousness to who we are and to the values that we hold in a society that is built on conformity, a school system that teaches children to fit into certain models or certain boxes, that grades people or on standardized test scores in every state of the country, regardless of the fact that people live in very different environments and have different needs and different dreams. I think that we need to learn how to recognize individuality, the individuality of who we are, the individuality of the type of being that we're bringing into the world. Because the truth is that every single child is unique and precious. I believe there are 6.5 billion parts to play in the transformation of our world. We all have some unique gift, some unique, absolutely priceless contribution to make to this world. And the question is, how do we find that? And how do we raise children so that they can know their gifts, so they can live their gifts, and so that the world can have the blessing of who they are in this world? It starts with conception. It actually starts before conception. I think it starts at the moment that we first conceive of the idea of conception, when we first imagine and dream of what it would be like to bring somebody into this world. And then as a couple builds a foundation in their relationship, I think that's pretty fundamental, because what we bring a child into is not something that just gets created on the spot. There's history. Who are we? How willing are we to do our work, to live a conscious life, to make conscious choices? Then every aspect of our parenting is impacted by the consciousness that we're already seeking to manifest through the way that we eat, through the way that we care for our bodies, through the way that we interact with our communities, through the way that we treat the earth. That's what we model, that's what we create, and that's how we raise our children, because we can't teach anything that we aren't willing to live. Children learn from what we do, not from what we say. And if there's a hypocrisy, if there is a incongruency between what we preach and how we live, children are going to learn about that. They're going to learn about hypocrisy and incongruency. They're going to learn about disconnection. If we learn and manifest a place of authentic learning, of authentic healing, of authentic consciousness and commitment to being agents of change in this world and to living the most healthy, whole, well, loving, honest lives that we can, children are going to learn from that, and the whole world will be touched. Speaking specifically to conception, I think that when my wife and I made the decision that we were ready to become pregnant, we allowed ourselves some time to contemplate what that was going to mean before we did anything physical that could enable a baby to actually come into the world, because we wanted to really know that we had laid the groundwork in ourselves, that this wasn't an accident, that this was really an intentional choice. And it's a good thing we did, because we wound up having twins. And they say it takes a village to raise a child. I think it takes 2 villages to raise twins. We were blessed, though, because we had a supportive community. We had love. We had a family that would support us and stand with us, and so many friends. And I think that's another thing about a child, is that it really isn't just about an individual or a couple. It's about a community. And when we have laid the groundwork for trying to live holistic, loving, meaningful, authentic lives, then we're going to have support for whatever comes our way. Whatever challenges and struggles are sure to emerge in one form or another in the parenting journey, we're going to have a supportive community to help us hold that, to help us be returned to our true selves each step of the way. There are many opportunities for losing it. There are many opportunities in parenting for, let me just say this again. Okay. After a certain number of sleepless nights and exhausting days, after a certain number of times when a baby throws food all over the floor and a parent has to spend hours cleaning it up, after a certain number of broken dishes, there's just a point, I think, when any parent will reach a place of exhaustion, a place of fatigue, and a place where just getting through, just surviving becomes pretty fundamental. And it's no longer about doing things perfectly. It's just about making it through the day. Certainly I've had moments like that along the way. And at times like that, that's, I think, where the rubber meets the road in parenting. When we get frustrated, when we get tired, when we don't feel like anything's going right, when we don't think that we have the resources to deal with what life is bringing to us, how are we going to respond to that? Are we going to allow ourselves to deepen? Or are we going to allow ourselves to come from a more true place? Are we going to allow ourselves to let all of the opinions and beliefs melt away as we step into who we really are? Or are we going to become terrified and lash out at our children? That's our question, I think. We have a lot of examples in this society of parents who are at their wits' end, who lash out at their children, who do things that they really regret. And I think violence against children, I think when we haven't dealt with our own inner traumas and wounds and pains in our lives, then we're naturally going to be tested by our children, and sometimes those are going to come out at them. So we have to be willing to do our work, and we have to be willing to have a certain kind of self-knowledge, a certain kind of self-awareness, so that as we move through the parenting journey, we're conscious. When we're getting exhausted, when we're having pain or distress emerge in our lives, to be able to know that, and to be able to make conscious choices about how we're going to deal with that. I think any parent has to know when they need to ask for help, when they feel overwhelmed, when they feel lost, and to have people they can turn to, have someone we can turn to support us in that journey. That's why I think it's so important about this organization, because providing the support, providing the tools, providing the resources for good, loving parents who want to do the right thing, to be able to know how to do the right thing, to be able to know how they can be sustained in their parenting journey. It's so important, because we have a lot of people with goodwill. I heard a recent survey that 99% of the mothers in the United States want every child to be happy and loved. I'm sure it's probably 100%, but somehow 1% didn't like the wording of the question. People want kids to be loved and happy. The question is, how do we get there? A lot of kids aren't loved and aren't happy, not in the way that they deserve. So here we've got an organization that is helping to turn the goodwill, the love and the commitment of so many mothers and so many fathers into action in the world, and helping us to manifest our dreams. That's what we need.
And what brought you to aTLC, Ralph?
Drugs.
In this blueprint, is there anything?
Is this running?
Yeah, is there anything that you would like to share with Jack around your feelings around that whole document? Here he is.
Oh.
You were filming me rubbing my eyes and all that crap in my unshaven face.
That's what
But we got this.
Yes.
And share.
Regina, you sneaky.